Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the grand opening of our podcast, One for the Table. We are here to talk about everything we love. And by everything, we mean food, because food rules our lives.
Food is everything.
My name is Kimchi. I am a drag sensation and makeup mogul. I was chosen by some magazine as like the 17 most powerful drag queen at some point. I don't know. I'm sure I'm like way further lower in the list at this point now.
And I'm John Kung. I am a content creator on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And before that, I was a professional chef and professional cook.
We decided to start a podcast because we love food and we could talk about food for hours. And when we hang out, all we do is talk about food. So I was like, why don't we share like our thoughts with food with the world?
Literally inflicted on everyone else.
Because that's what the world needs, you know? Another gay people would podcast.
Two outwardly expressive men with opinions on something.
There's just not enough podcasts in the world.
No.
Yeah, so John, should he tell them about how we met?
Yeah, so a little background about our relationship. It was shortly after season 8?
Yeah,
Kim?
season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race, yeah.
It was shortly after season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race had aired back in like 1997.
Oh my God, no, don't give false information. It aired in 2016. Yeah, I was booked for Motor City Pride. So then I came to Detroit for a gig, and then John came stumbling backstage drunk.
I was so very drunk.
And the promoter that booked me asked me, do you want to go out for a dinner, or do you want to like go over to like Chef John's place and he'll cook you like a nice dinner? And I'm like, I mean, I'm always down for like a home cooked meal, you know? That chef turned out to be John Kung, who stumbled in drunk into the dressing room.
Yeah, so it was one of the first few prides that I would like actually made it into. And I wasn't having like a particularly good time. So I did that thing where you like grab a drink at the booth and then walk to the back of the line for a drink with your drink in hand. And I just kept going in circles. I think I did that 2 or 3 times. And there were like 7-Eleven big gulp size vodka Red Bulls. And so I think after that, I had stumbled into VIP where Kim was. And the promoter was like, hey, do you want to like cook for me or to cook for Kimchi? And I didn't know what she was saying, but my best friend was in it with me. And he said yes for me. And so I said yes through him. And then we ended up going straight to Whole Foods where I did ingredient shopping. And somehow I managed to put together within a period of like 1 hour, like a 4 or 5 course dinner for Kim at my studio. And by the time I was cooking, I was sobering up. So she came in and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, I taste the food and I'm like, oh, this is some good stuff. I still remember everything you cooked. You made some lamb, some chicken.
I think I made you like 2 types of chicken. I made you like a Sichuanese, like it was called haosoigai, which means like mouth-watering chicken. It was like this cold chicken dish that had like the chili oil and the sesame seeds on top, and that was chopped up. And then I also made you a master sauce chicken, which was braised in like a master stock that at that point that I had was like 3 years old. That sauce had died, unfortunately. But yeah, at that point was 3 years old. And then I did like, was it lamb chops? Was there a lamb there? I don't remember there being lamb.
Yeah, there was a lamb there. It was so good.
How did I afford lamb at Whole Foods? I don't know.
You managed somehow.
So lamb, probably rice, some rice as well. Did you bring Naomi yet? No. It was just you that time. Naomi was the second time.
And at that point, I've been traveling like nonstop because for being on Drag Race. And every meal I've eaten has been either like fast food after a gig because that's the only thing that's open, or airport food. So like eating like a nice ass home cooked Chinese meal was like, oh my God, it was like such a treat.
Yeah, that was a good time. And then we had like kept in touch.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had come over to Detroit a couple of times after that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was after your second or third time that you had come visit Detroit for like a gig or something. And then we started traveling together. And then we've been like really good friends ever since.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, what actual year was season 8?
2016. So like, is that 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 7.
7. Oh my God.
Oh no. We've
Oh,
almost been friends for 10 years, Kim.
back when I had a hairline. The good old days. But anyways, John is an easy person to travel with, and he's a very easy person to talk to. So we just naturally connected, and here we are.
Yeah. I think like the start of our real food journey must have been when we went to like Taiwan.
Yeah.
And that was like when we realized that like, okay, we're not just like travel friends, but like we are super passionate about like this one thing, which is like trying different foods. No ego about it, no reservations, no need to like, you know, whether it be complete street food or street stall snacks or fine dining, like we'll go to all of those things and we'll try everything more than once. We'll try like even if we don't like something, I feel like we'll try 2 or 3 times just to make sure.
Exactly.
We're those kinds of like experiential foodies. So some of the things like we had in Taiwan were mind blowing. But our favorite thing to eat there was like the black pepper buns.
Oh my God, the black pepper buns.
It's so good, right?
Okay, like
I have to go back.
I can honestly say these black pepper buns changed my life because I've never tasted anything like it here in the States, and I've never been able to find anything like it in the States.
Yes. So basically, they were these baked yeasted bread buns that were stuffed with black pepper beef or pork. Pork. It was black pepper.
It's pork?
Yeah. It was black pepper pork with tons of scallions.
Like
and then they would wrap them in this. Yeah. Like just, you would think it would be too much. Like you would think it would be too much and too oniony, but it wasn't. They would wrap them in these balls of dough, and then they would stick the dough into these like, they looked like, well, they're 10-door ovens, but if you don't know what that is, it looks kind of like a jet engine made of concrete with a hole in the middle and a fire underneath. And they would stick to the sides of these concrete walls and they would bake them for like an hour. And it would just bake inside this thing for an hour and it would get so juicy and so very hot and soft and crunchy. It was, delicious. I would love to go back just for that alone.
Same. The best way I could describe these buns is, okay, so imagine a dinner roll, but then the outside shell is like a calzone where it's like hard and crusty. And then when you bite into like that crusty calzone, the entire thing is filled with meat juice. And then inside the meat juice, there is a chunk of meat floating. And when you bite into the meat, it is like spicy from the black pepper. But then like the green onion like cuts through it. So like it's not like so rich. It is literally like the most like perfect form of like, it's everything you would want. Like it's like a soup dumpling in a calzone form, basically.
That was like 50 Shades of Grey, but for food. The way we've talked about that. That was so good. I am so very hungry right now.
But we loved it so much to the point where we Googled every single restaurant and like places that make it. And we went to every single one of them just to like compare all of them. And all of them taste slightly different. And these are so popular to the point where some places where you go, you have to get a number. And then they'll tell you like, oh, this batch will be done at like 3 o'clock. So then you come back with the number at 3 o'clock, and then you're only able to buy like 2 or 3 at a time. Yeah.
And that was just like one of the things we eat. There were like other things that were so good. We could talk about that trip like at a different time.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast on its own.
Yeah, that is Taiwan is a whole podcast on its own, and our desire to retire there.
And you're probably wondering like, why do these gays think they're qualified to like have like a podcast about food?
I feel like based on how we were just talking about like this simple bread bun alone, we kind of like have shown that we have such a great love for this thing. Like, sure, like I was a professional cook, or I still am a professional cook, but I cooked professionally for over 15 years. I was a chef. I was a cook. I mean, like, of course I have opinions on things that happen in my industry, things that happen within my craft, but like, I don't think that is the only reason that people should, that's the only thing that qualifies somebody to talk about something. Like food is one of those things where it's like, if you love it that much, like you're allowed to have an opinion on it. Everybody has an opinion on food, and everyone's opinion on food is to an extent valid because they're the ones that have to eat it. So,
and personally, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I've actually worked in like various jobs, like mostly like in the hospitality side in the food industry. Like my first job was Burger King. Then I've also worked as a barista. And then I've also worked as a server at a Asian restaurant for 2 years. And then after that, I worked as a server at a fine dining in a hotel. But then I think working as a server in the hotel job is like what really like shaped me up to open up my mind regarding like all different types of things. Because when you have to start as like a breakfast server, and then you move on to lunch, and then you eventually move on to dinner. And it's also very interesting because this restaurant, each meal period is completely different. So breakfast, you're mostly serving to like European guests or like hotel guests. And breakfast, my personal opinion, of like all the serving job, breakfast server is the hardest job because everyone is so particular about their breakfast. Like people want their eggs like a certain temperature, their coffee has to be a certain temperature, the accoutrements, like they need like a specific amount of sugar. Some people want their like milk steamed, and then some people want their like coffee like refilled like a million times. And on top of that, the tech average is much lower because no one ever gets like courses for breakfast. So anyways, mad respect for the breakfast servers that are out there.
Breakfast and brunch.
Breakfast and brunch, yeah. At least brunch, there's like alcohol sales.
Yeah, that's true.
A pure breakfast server, that is like not a fun job. And then lunchtime, we would cater to, because it was like in the Chicago downtown area, we cater to like a lot of like business power lunches, politicians, and then tourists like who are shopping around. And then at dinner time, because the restaurant was in the theater district, we catered to the theater goers and like people on days and people celebrating special occasions. So just working there I think I was a server there for about 9 years.
You were in the service industry for over 9 years?
Yeah, but before drag, I mean, even while I was doing drag, I was like working as a server at the same time too.
Did you ever do like the Hamburger Mary's thing?
No.
And served while in drag?
No.
Would you have?
I mean, I guess if the money was there, but that was just like not a thing in Chicago. Like drag queens, like when you're in drag, you're a drag queen and you're like this like big grand creature.
Oh yeah. Drag artistry is like really a thing in Chicago. Drag, I feel like is a very special thing.
But I feel like every city and every bar has their own culture. Like some cities, like drag queens, like there are like venues where drag queens like take your orders and like serve you. But at the time when I was starting drag in Chicago, that was just like not the culture there. So anyways, and then I was also doing graphic design for the restaurant too, like making their menus and stuff.
Is that where your background in makeup happened?
No, makeup just happened randomly. For Halloween one year, my best friend at the time was like, I'm going to do drag for Halloween. Do you want to do it with me? And I was like, sure. And then we practiced makeup for like a month on and off. And then the first night I went out, I ended up getting booked for a show. And then it just kind of like escalated from there.
As I'm really curious, because like you're so widely known as still one of the best painters of all the drag girls in Drag Race. So like, I was wondering if you ever did that like professionally to get you to that point, or if like graphic design like gave you like the eye to do something like that.
Even before doing graphic design, I was a fine artist, like first and foremost. So I only like did graphic design because I thought it would be the easiest like art job to like make money.
Yeah.
But then after doing it, I realized like it's all corporate work and you're designing for a bunch of people who has no art background or eye for like an art.
That's totally the same thing. Graphic design and I think like fine dining have that in common, where like you try to produce these like artistically relevant things where ultimately though, like regardless of doesn't matter how talented you are as the chef or the designer or how like beautiful the things that you make are, ultimately the only opinion that matters is the person that like you're doing it for, and they might not get it. So it always like whittles down into something that is like expected, that has like mass appeal in a way. I imagine the frustration is the same.
But at least with fine dining, when people like go to fine dining, there's like an expectation of like, I'm eating like what the chef is curating. But then I guess like there's always those people like, oh, can I get this without like celery root and replace it with like mashed potato or something?
Right. Substitutions.
Yeah, substitutions, back when I was a server too, was like debating my existence. Because sometimes like we like list garnishes, like microgreens. And people are like, instead of microgreens, can I get a Caesar salad? And I'm like, no, you dumb bitch. Like,
no, that's literally the decoration. You won on the course for it. Oh my gosh. I went through a period where like I used so many like microgreens and like edible flowers and stuff. I think it was easily 10, 12 years ago. And like all my shit just looked like a meadow in a field just because I would just put all these flowers and greens on them thinking that was elevating my shit. But really it was just like, okay,
Did you use
really
gold
putting some
flake
leaves on some
too?
I never use gold flake because at least microgreens could taste like something. Like if you got like micro arugula or which would taste peppery, or if you got sorrel, which tasted like lemons. But like gold leaf doesn't taste like anything, so I never like bought that. But still, I mean, I just relied way too much on microgreens. And now anytime I see it, I ruined it for myself. Because now anytime I go to a fine dining restaurant and like see these like tiny little leaves, I'm like, okay, you didn't really think about that. You just think that like you put that there because you expect that's what people want. Or that's the only way you know how to like add another $25 to the price tag of this dish.
Like, I don't know, the gold trend, like I saw the other day in the World Wide Web, like an entire state covered in gold foil. And I'm like, what is the point of this?
Yeah. Okay. So gold is perfect for like social media and TikTok and stuff like that because it's flashy and the person that's watching is not going to eat it anyway. So if you put like something like microgreens and flowers on something like that, like at least if you're experiencing it, at the very least, you can eventually eat those things. And whether or not you like them, you're still going to be able to eat that. But like for people who are just watching this as a video, like gold takes you to that level where it's like, it doesn't taste like anything anyway. The whole point is just for you to see it. So that's why I think like putting gold on a steak or on like chicken and waffles or some other kind of bullshit like that, like that's why it does so well, because it's like, oh, I'm literally just throwing money at this for no reason except for you to see it.
Money.
It's always money.
But speaking of TikToks, you really blew up in TikTok during the pandemic.
I did. So I was watching TikTok probably for a year before the pandemic started. And by watching, I was not like obsessed with TikTok like people like are now. I would literally like be bored after I wake up in the morning. I'd turn it on and I'd flick through a few videos. And it would always be like, for me, it would always be like someone doing really cute cosplay, or like there was probably like 20 or 30 content creators really on TikTok, or all the people that were still on there when it was like Musical.ly before. So I was like, I'd get bored really quick, but something about the app back then, even back then, made me think like, oh, there's something special about this, but not yet. So I would check up on it once a month for a year. And then eventually older people started getting on it. And it got more interesting because people were like voicing opinions about politics and social justice and stuff like that. And then the pandemic hit, and then TikTok absolutely blew up. I didn't really realize it at the time, but I might have been one of the first major food content creators on that app because I was like so early and just like figuring my way out through it during quarantine. And that's when I blew up, when people like, it was an opportunity really that I just had seized when everyone else was still like, oh, people just dance on there, right? Yeah.
Would you even say like TikTok changed your life?
100%. The pandemic changed all our lives, but like it's kind of weird in a sick, twisted way that it like the pandemic is responsible for me doing all of this, and then TikTok was the way that it all happened. And now like I spend my time pretty evenly between like TikTok and YouTube, and they all like serve different things for me on social media now. But like I do not cook physically for other people like anymore. And before that was like all I did. And now I only cook one of everything, and I just do it in front of a camera. And now I have a camera crew to do it for me.
Oh my God, so bougie.
I know.
And the only person that gets to relish the fruit of your labor is your boyfriend.
Yes. Well, you too, if you should decide to come over more and visit Detroit more.
Yeah, I will check my schedule.
You're such a bitch.
I mean, I love Detroit. I love Detroit. For listeners, I'm from Michigan. I'm proud of being from Michigan.
Where from Michigan are you from?
I'm from Okemos,
And Okemos, Michigan has also produced another internet sensation.
Tyler Oakley.
Hell yeah.
Okemos has got it going on. I think like the most like interesting thing about you is how you used to be a lawyer, and I feel like not many people know about that.
That's not really all that interesting. That is, I know, I don't think about that very much because I don't think it's very interesting. But yeah, I did. I went to law school. I graduated law school, and I worked for the prosecutor's office for a couple of years. During that time when I was studying law, that's when I taught myself how to cook as well. So like that whole thing, like I was in law school, but I was also learning how to cook, doing a food blog. And then that turned into pop-ups in like 2008, 2009, 2009, 2010 in Detroit. I was like studying for school and then also opening pop-up restaurants in like abandoned buildings in the city. And so once it came time for me to be like, okay, I'm going to do one or the other, I decided on food because at that point in time, I think the job working at a prosecutor as like a assistant prosecutor was like $28,000 a year. And I was just like, well, if I'm going to struggle, at least I'm going to do it while like cooking food and doing something that I really liked doing.
Okay, and then I also have a random question for you.
What?
So, world is ending tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to die.
Uh-huh.
Let's create a meal, appetizer, entree, and dinner of like what you want to eat before you die.
Okay. So, end of the world, what is my end of the world meal? Okay, so for breakfast, I would have 100% I would have congee, which is like this rice porridge. And it would be the one that's made out of pork and the century egg, but like that century egg is chopped up and cooked inside the congee because I like the taste of it, but I can't eat the egg itself. It's too strong for my nose.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the flavor, so I eat that congee, but also with, I forgot what it's called. I want to say it's wuti, but I don't really know Chinese, so that could be any kind of word. It's pretty much, they call it like Chinese, it's a Chinese donut. It's fried dough sticks that we use to dip into the congee itself. And like the dough is really, really tasty. Sometimes it's savory, sometimes it's sweet, but it like really absorbs the congee really well. So that plus, I think on the side, I would have like really good kimchi and Chinese pickles and dumplings. And that would be my breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
My lunch would be sushi and a big bowl of spicy chili oil lamb cumin noodles.
Mm-hmm.
With dessert being, dessert would be like my favorite fruit, which would be Filipino mangoes and custard apples.
Mm-hmm.
Custard apples look like cherimoya, but they're not the same. I realize that they're not the same. Custard apples kind of taste like, they literally taste like vanilla custard. Tangy vanilla custard is delicious. And then for dinner time, it would be fried chicken, Detroit style pizza, and like a lot of like really, really deep red wine. Because if the world is going to end after dinner, I want to be too drunk to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nice meal.
What is yours?
Okay, so for breakfast, I've been obsessed with Turkish eggs. And if you've never had Turkish eggs before, it is so good, so tangy, and so rich. So it's a bed of warm Greek yogurt, but it has grated garlic in it. And then maybe like dill or mint. And then topped with poached eggs. And then you top that with this butter sauce that has been like cooked down with chili. And then you take a really good crusty sourdough bread and you break up the egg yolk and you mix it together with the egg yolk. and it's like creamy and tangy and buttery and spicy, but herbaceous. It is so yummy.
Where do you get that in LA?
There's like a lot of places that does it. This place called Open Market does it. You can make it at home.
Okay. Well, can we go?
Yes,
Because
of
that
course.
sounds really good. When I visit in LA, I would like to come in. I would like to have some of that.
Oh my God, I'm like drooling just thinking about it.
No, me too. And I've never had it before.
And then for lunch, I want to go to a really fierce Indian buffet. And I say Indian buffet because I don't just want like
good one.
one dish. I want like all the Indian dish. So I want to like line the bottom of my plate with basmati rice. And then like I just want to top each corner with different Indian dish, you know? I mean, there's just so much variety like that. I don't want to limit myself to just like one Indian dish, you know?
Yeah. But if you had to, what is your favorite like Indian dish?
I like, forgive my pronunciation, bindi do piasa, which is like an okra curry. Like, if I see okra curry, like I always get it because it's like slimy, spicy, like oniony, but also like tangy from the tomatoes. I also like butter paneer. Butter chicken is good. Lamb rogan josh is good. I just love all Indian food so much. Actually, maybe that's what I'll have for lunch today. Anyways, and then
What
for dinner.
about dinner?
So dinner has to be Korean food. Okay. Fresh cooked, and it has to be fresh cooked bowl of white rice, a big portion of it, with kimchi stew made with really sour aged kimchi with chunks of soft pork belly. And
That's kimchi jjigae, right?
kimchi jjigae, yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple of fried eggs on the side, and a pile of seaweed, like the crispy seaweed. And that's all I need for dinner.
Nice. Oh, kimchi jjigae is so good.
Oh, and then for dessert, a really, really ripe peaches. Like type of peaches that are like
Your favorite?
I love stone fruit.
Stone fruit is your favorite. I usually don't really care for them too much.
Oh my
I
God,
don't know
peaches
why.
when they're so like ripe, and then you bite into it, and the whole thing just like turns into like water in your mouth, and the water just like drifts down your hand, and it's like so sweet and syrupy and sticky.
I feel like as a Chinese person, I should really like peaches out of a sense of like cultural pride because that's one of the things that actually came out of China. But it was like peaches are fine. I'll enjoy a peach, but like I like more like tropical fruits.
I like durian too.
Durian's good. It's very polarizing, but it's good.
I also love cherries. Anyways, I haven't eaten breakfast yet, so I'm like starving.
I actually literally just came out of a workout for this, so I'm really hungry too.
I know we should always record these podcasts when we're hungry.
Yeah, right.
What are you going to make after this?
I was thinking about just doing because it's a cardio day. I kind of let myself eat whatever I want on cardio day. So it's usually just like dumplings. I'm going to do dumplings and solomtong today.
Oh, nice.
Maybe I'll put an egg on it. I like using dumplings instead of noodles for stuff. Like instead of like a plate of pasta or whatever, you just like use a bag of frozen dumplings instead.
You're getting
And
some
it's just
protein.
Like,
yeah.
isn't that some protein and some fat? It's not even that. It's just like better. It's just, I just imagine like instead of like a bowl of noodles and stuff, it's just a whole bowl of tiny, tiny dumplings. It's so much more satisfying.
Oh, yeah. Dumplings will always satisfy me.
What about you?
Actually, I plan to go get dim sum with my friends today. So I guess I'm eating dumplings too.
Yay! Which dim sum place are you going to?
I'm going to the one, it's called Atlantic, and it's the one where they bring carts over and you get to like pick everything up the carts. For me in particular, I've been craving turnip cakes and chicken feet.
And you should be eating turnip cakes because it's good luck for Lunar New Year.
New Year, yeah.
Yeah.
Turnip cakes with a little piece of dry shrimp, but then also like the sticky rice, like wrapped in like that banana leaf. Oh, so fragrant. It's so filling, but it's so good.
Oh, zongzi. It's bamboo leaf.
A bamboo leaf. Excuse me.
Sorry.
No. No, thank you for correcting me before I get blasted in the message boards.
Could you imagine, like, if we did this live and we had people in the chat?
No, because you might say something transphobic like you usually do.
Hey, you can't do that. You can't just say stuff like that. Just because I never finished a season of Pose doesn't mean I'm transphobic.
Why
I
would
just
you
don't
finish
want to
Pose? Pose is so good.
Because I don't like to. Because I don't like to be sad. I don't like to be made sad.
But also, there's like a lot of, but it's also comedy at the same time. So, just as many sad moments there are just moments that are also like heartwarming and funny.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure there are, but the only memory of Pose that I have in my head was after we took that vacation and you were like seriously coming down from things. And I came back with like, I came back with what? I had gone out and gotten snacks or coffee or something. And I came back and you were just sitting there crying in front of your television watching Pose. And I was like, I never want to feel like that.
Yeah, but it was like a very like monumental episode where one of like the major character dies. And like to this day, like no other like episode of a show has made me cry that hard. So suck on that. It's okay to get in touch with your feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
I
would rather just eat my feelings.
No, none of this like toxic masculinity. Like I'm too tough for this stuff.
It has nothing to do with that. I just don't like to be sad.
People like you are the reason why Pose got canceled.
No, that is not true. That is not true. Wasn't it on FX too?
It was, yeah.
It was? I couldn't afford FX at that time. I wasn't on TikTok yet.
I'm trying to think because I never watched it on Netflix. It would always get uploaded to some streaming platform.
Or were you buying the seasons on Apple TV or something?
No, I only went I don't know, there's so many streaming platforms, I can't remember which one it was. But speaking of it, are you watching anything?
The most recent food thing that I watched was The Menu, which is that movie, which is an amazing movie.
Spoiler alert. If you haven't watched The Menu, go watch it or fast forward to the 34-minute mark.
It was a commentary. Well, you know what it, because I know you watched it too, but it was a commentary on like fine dining and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And between putting your darkest secrets on a tortilla and then like putting everything on a bagel from like the Michelle Yeoh movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was a big year for food and film.
Yeah. It's so funny because I see so many like conflicting like opinions regarding that movie, The Menu.
Really?
And
what were some of the bad opinions? Or not bad opinions that didn't like it. People
it's
that
usually
didn't like it.
like a lot of like the kids that didn't get it's supposed to be like a dark comedy,
It was hilarious.
Why didn't they try harder to escape? It's like that's not the point of the movie. Like them.
Yeah.
They were never like
it was like people falling into the cult mentality. First, well, they totally established, like over the course of the movie, it totally shows you why they decided. They went through like all the reasons why they would have stayed. At first, they were entrapped because they couldn't leave because they had all that dirt on them. And then over time, it turned into a Stockholm Syndrome situation where like the people that were guests there kind of like started to like buy into the cultiness of it as well. And like, they were like, oh, this Med is a genius. And it's like, everything he does has a reason. Very, very much a commentary on like a lot of toxic chefs in the professional culinary field for fine dining, because that is what they're totally like.
Watch The Menu.
We could totally do an episode on The Menu too.
Just dissecting like every bits and pieces.
Yeah. What was like, for me, the first food show that I kind of fell in love with was like Chef's Table.
I think the first food show that I fell in love with was, oh my God, you're gonna judge me so hard for this. I don't even know if I should say it.
I'm listening. No, you should say it.
Back when I was in high school and junior and senior year, I was the editor for the yearbook. And after school, when we were like working on the yearbook, we'd always like put on Food Network. And around the time, we get like these like slew of like the Food Network chef shows like in a row, and we love to like hate watch because we get Rachel Ray's 30-minute meals, Sandra Lee's semi-homemade meals, Giada De Lourdes' the Italian show, Ina Garten, and then Rachel Ray's $40 a day. So basically, we just have it in the background and just talk shit about these shows like the entire time we were watching.
Yeah. I never really got into Food Network very much. I think, Chef's Table was the first time I took like food media seriously.
Well, I couldn't believe, like, as a person, like, who grew up, like, Korean American, every single recipe that they'll make were basically, like, the same thing. Like, here's a pasta dish. Oh, here's, like, a roasted chicken dish with some, like, herbs. And just, like, they're basically showing, like, variations of, like, same thing, but just, like, in a different form for, like, hours.
I think they were just really aware of who their, like, market segment was. They were just, like... I think Food Network, unfortunately for Food Network now, because like they kind of like cater to a less adventurous crowd.
And I'm just like, where's the flavor?
Yeah, no, it wasn't there.
And then I was watching like this episode of Chopped, and this judge was like going after this guy because he used onions in his salad and he hates onions. And I'm like, why are you a judge in the show then? Like what qualifies you to be able to like judge someone's dish when you like hate like the most like basic ingredient and you're not even trying to like understand like why the onion exists in that salad,
Yeah, I love onions in salad.
Because even if
and
I
sandwiches
hate,
and burgers,
yeah, and also even if I hate an ingredient, instead of saying like I don't like this ingredient, like why'd you put in, as if like first of all they wouldn't have known like that the judge would have like hated the onion, but he should have been thinking a way where the onion exists to like counteract like this like beef and like this dressing like this in there, And I don't know, that like really pissed me off.
Yeah, no, I agree. When judges like put their own like when they dock people's points for like their opinions on their personal opinions on food or their personal taste on food, and that's like somehow like an offense that like knocks points off. That is really annoying because like that's only your personal opinion. That does not make the food like objectively good or bad.
Wait, hold that thought for a moment. Let's take a quick break and then
we'll be right back.
Welcome back.
Bye.
We're back just in time to talk about the little staples that both of us keep in our pantries and refrigerators. So, I mean, John, you actually have a really stocked pantry as a chef.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the musts that you have to have?
Well, besides like standard things, like for me, standard things like butter, there's eggs. I always keep like some kind of like milk. Most right now I'm keeping a lot of almond milk, but because it's like Chinese New Year right now, I also have like a lot of the things that I can just like the ingredients for things that I can just whip up in case I need to like make something for some reason in my mind, make something that's Chinese New Year themed. So I got lots of like vegetables for steamed vegetables right now. I've got like some frozen like pork, lots of dried noodles in my pantry. What else? A lot of like sauces, of sauces and pickles.
Oh, for that emergency Chinese New Year dinner?
Yeah, I don't know. Like in my mind, it was like, for some reason during this time of year, I always like want my fridge to be extra stocked with food. And I have no reason for it because I don't really have people over to eat very much. But in my freezer, I always have like tons, like bags and bags of frozen dumplings because that is like my go-to meal when like when I only cook for myself. And then recently I've been keeping like pre-made pouches of solangtang to use instead of like chicken broth because I think it's super tasty. It's like Korean beef bone broth, but people listening might not. Yeah, so that's what's in my pantry and fridge. What's in yours?
So I always have to have eggs on hand. Except right now, like, I don't know what it is in Detroit, but LA is going through like an egg shortage. So you go to Trader Joe's and they have like no eggs. And when you go to like an Asian grocery store, it is $10 a carton.
Oh my God.
I know.
Are you serious?
I know, and I love eggs. I eat eggs every day. So that sucks. I always have two types of kimchi in my refrigerator, like big jars of it. One jar of really ripe kimchi for cooking, and then one jar that is less riper for just like eating plain. And then as I finish like the super ripe jar like for cooking, then I'll move like the less ripe jar like
Into it.
like move it up and then like buy another jar. But yeah, I always have like a lot of kimchi in hand, and I usually have green onion kimchi in hand too. Green onion kimchi goes really well with like noodles and things.
Wait, what's green onion kimchi?
Green onion kimchi.
Yeah, what's that?
You literally make kimchi with like whole stalks of green onion, and it develops like this like really unique sharp flavor. It's really good.
Do you make it yourself?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Because like it sounds like I don't know. In my mind, it sounds like a tangy ginger scallion oil almost.
I guess, but it's a whole stalk of it, so a lot of it is like textural too.
Okay.
Like, you get like that
Is
crunch
it still
from
crunchy?
Like, it's still crunchy,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And as it ferments, it gets like tangier. It's really good.
I just realized I have like 4 jars of kimchi in my fridge too.
I mean,
I love
there's
it
so much you can do with
too.
kimchi. Like, I was just on like a vacation to like UK for like a week,
Mhm.
and then when I got back from UK, I was like, oh my god, I've been eating like rich food like all week. So for like the next 3 meals, all I ate was just plain rice and kimchi, and it satisfied me.
Yeah, you miss that. Like you definitely miss those fresh and tangy flavors for sure. Especially if you're out traveling where they probably don't have anything like very few opportunities to eat kimchi in the UK.
I mean, you could go to a Korean restaurant, but
Yeah,
like, why would I go to a Korean restaurant when I live in Cape Town? In
I was
LA,
about
you
to
know?
say, I was like, it doesn't matter. Like with the Korean food in LA is like almost, if not as good as the Korean food in Korea. I don't think any other city's Korean food could like match up.
Yeah, the Korean food in LA is like next level.
Yeah, agreed. It's my favorite thing about it.
You could have access to it if you move to LA.
Stop trying to get me to move to LA.
I feel like it's like a very like LA people thing to do, where anybody from like out of town, they're like, "Oh, the water's nice here. You should move here." So,
It's so true. Oh my, but New Yorkers do it too. Like anytime like somebody visits a lot for work or whatnot, everybody's like, you should move here. It's like, no, girl.
it's like,
I don't want to
wow,
join your cult.
what a beautiful day outside. You should move here. Oh, this bagel is delicious. You should move here. Oh my god, the train is so convenient. You should move here.
What is it? Like LA has enough people. California has totally enough people.
Not
But,
enough
like,
people,
they
too
keep
much people.
Yeah. And they keep trying to get more to come in anytime they visit. It's like,
You know, we just want to spread the love.
you do.
I mean, just as
And
much as
that's
like,
why-
you know, we get a lot of people here that we love. People also move out of LA a lot.
Yeah, that's true. You had a couple of friends move out recently, right?
Yeah, a lot of friends. A lot of people like come and go from LA.
Where did they go?
I don't know, back to like Iowa or Chicago,
Oh.
New York, even
Really?
New York.
Yeah, I feel like LA, like New York and LA probably like, interchanges people a lot. Like people switch back and forth.
I mean, LA life definitely isn't for everyone, but
No.
for those of you that love it, it's an addiction.
What else is in your fridge besides kimchi?
Oh yeah, okay, way off topic. So I always have doenjang, which is like Korean miso, gochujang. Like every Korean would have like doenjang and like gochujang in their like refrigerator, and then I have so many condiments. I don't even use like all of them, but I always like having condiments just in case like I need it. So
I think that's like an Asian thing, right? Like I got tons of jars of condiments, like jars of stuff to eat with other stuff.
other stuff, yeah.
Like I have so many.
I have like so many different like random types of pickles, so many different types of like random like fermented tofu. And it's like, why do I need 8 jars of mustard? And they're all slightly different, but like, why do I need 8 jars of it?
It's like packed with accoutrement. Like we have like all condiments and like maybe 1 or 2 actual things to eat.
And then usually I have slices of American cheese, which like I feel like American cheese is like so like polarizing. It's either like so celebrated or hated in the foodie community. There's no in between when it comes to American cheese.
I like it.
I like it. when it comes to
Yeah,
a burger,
and
like
it's a
give me
perfect melty cheese.
yes, it's like plasticky, but also like this what gives it like that texture too, that like
The
ooey
way that it
gooey.
like is gooey, yeah, the ooey gooey, exactly. And then Koreans use it in their food too.
Yeah, like they'll put in like the ramen, army stew. I don't necessarily like love the trend of like putting cheese in everything that's happening right now. Like I don't like I like cheese, but I don't have to have cheese on everything. And everybody just wants to melt mozzarella over like any Korean dish and call it a day.
Oh, you guys should like instead of using mozzarella, you should use like Wisconsin brick cheese.
Tell them that.
That's what they use. Yeah, it's like mozzarella, but it's like it's more flavorful and it's a little more saltier. But I think it would be a good addition. Because mozzarella is fine. Mozzarella is great, but mozzarella is more for texture.
Yeah. Speaking of Wisconsin, have you ever been to Cheese Castle?
No, what's that?
From Chicago, every time like I would go from Chicago to like Milwaukee, it's like a destination stop like on the way. And it's a giant...
How often do you go from Chicago to Milwaukee?
Back when I used to live there quite frequently. Because it's only like an hour away.
Okay.
So,
I had no idea.
But it's a giant castle, and they sell only cheese and cheese products.
So it's like a physical castle.
It's like a physical castle, but it's essentially like a cheese grocery store.
Actually, I would like to go. I would totally like to go. Do they have like cheeses from all over the world, or they just do like Wisconsin?
No,
cheese?
they have like cheese from all over the world, but then they have like Wisconsin cheese curds, and then they'll have like cheese buns, like jalapeno cheese buns, and then like
that does sound good.
Different like wines and stuff to go with the cheeses. But it's like this giant place.
I love Wisconsin cheese curds. I used to date a guy that was from there, and every time he would go home to see his family, he'd bring back like fresh cheese curds, and they like would squeak when you bite into them, which is like how you can tell they were good.
But, so what you're saying is he was the bottom if he's feeding you cheese.
No comment, but yes.
I mean,
this conversation got real gay real fast.
Well, I mean, playing with dairy is a little dangerous, you know, when you're a gay.
It's true. Okay. Anyway.
Well, why are you embarrassed?
Nothing. Yeah. I was not expecting that.
Shit happens, you know? Like, I don't know, you rarely hear about like gay lovers like gifting each other cheeses, you know?
I do like, is cheese all that romantic of a food in general?
No, it's like, would you want to make out with someone who has cheese breasts? I don't.
I mean, if you both have cheese breath and none of you have cheese breath, I have that same rule with like garlic and stuff. If I'm in the mood for shawarma,
no,
if I take somebody on a date, they're having shawarma too. Because if we both have garlic breath, then it doesn't matter.
No, I will fully make out with someone who has garlic breath, like garlic breath or like onion breath. Like I don't care. But something about cheese breath, it's like when like the dairies mixed together, it's like this weird. I can't describe it, but it's just like a very specific smell, like that makes me cringe. Like dairy breath out of
cheese.
Yeah, something about like dairy breasts compared to like garlic breasts. I don't know. It's just not.
Does that include when you go and get like boba and stuff like that?
But boba is like, I don't know. But cheese is like concentrated. Well, you know. I don't know. I can't describe it.
I don't think about it this way. I've definitely like gone on pizza dates, so I don't think it bothers me.
I guess you must go on a lot of dates.
I did. Listen.
I guess
that was very judgmental.
Because I'm just like an unloved swine. Rarely go on dates.
Do you? When was the last time you went on a date?
Are you trying to humiliate me in my own podcast?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to keep things moving.
Oh, it's definitely before the pandemic.
Yeah. What did you do?
Not much, clearly, because I'm still single.
I can't even imagine dating anymore. I mean, I've been in the same relationship for like almost 9 years.
Oh, you're a hard
It seems
life.
exhausting. It seems exhausting now, especially if you're like from like a major city.
Mhm.
All of my friends who like live in New York and LA and Chicago, the ones that have been like single this whole time, they just say like dating is just hard.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
My one piece of advice is to, if you go out for shawarma, make sure they ate shawarma too.
My one piece of advice. Well, I don't know. But like shawarma that's more like a drill food, isn't it? If you're going
Shawarma is good all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
because I guess like to me like shawarma is like something you get like after the club, like and they like stand there like
That
open
is
till like
also-
2 a.m. in the morning.
Shawarma when you're drunk is good, but like because I think Michigan, you can get it all over the place and you can get all different kinds.
Yeah.
Whenever, like for me, like I think of shawarma, I think of it like walking through the farmer's market because there's a shawarma stall there.
Well, I guess you're from like the area where there's like a lot of
Middle Easterners.
Middle Eastern,
And the food is amazing as a result. Like the garlic sauce that they have, the toom, that's my favorite thing to eat with fries.
Oh,
and
toom.
sometimes I'll grill dumplings and I'll dip it in toom. It's so good.
Honestly, we should just replace all aioli with toom.
Agreed. Oh my god, toom is kind of like aioli that doesn't apologize for itself.
Yeah, and it's like,
I'm going to fuck your mouth with garlic,
there's
and you're gonna love it.
there's a chicken place in LA. It's like an LA institution called Zanku's. And you can get like a whole like rotisserie chicken meal for like $20. And they always give you toom to eat with the rotisserie chicken, and it is so yummy.
It's such a good idea. Oh my gosh.
Toom with rotisserie chicken. Oh yeah.
I didn't realize I like posted like a TikTok about Costco rotisserie chicken recently, and I didn't realize that like it was around the exact same time that like David Chang was like bashing Costco rotisserie, or was it the rotisserie chicken that he was like?
Yeah, it was rotisserie chicken.
Why doesn't he like it?
I don't know. I feel like David Chang, like, much respect to like all the work like he's done, but he's how should I word this? A little out of touch with like like I don't know. I went on his TikTok and he was cooking lobster tails like in the microwave, and I'm like, what about any of this is like relatable to like an everyday people,
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we're gonna do like highs and lows, and he's like eating caviar with like chicken skin, and I'm like, I don't know, like just none of this is just like relatable to me anymore. Like back when you used to like first introduce us to like food and things.
Yeah, I was like I think he was like making fun of it from like the taste, but I never use that rotisserie chicken. Well, I eat the legs and the thighs on their own, but then everything else I use it for like soup and stuff because I think it's a really good ingredient. I think rotisserie chicken is like such a good ingredient to use for other things. Like beside, like I'll use the bones and I'll make like a ramen with it. Or I know people who have made like taken the meat and made like enchiladas with it, and this is so good. I mean, it's already cooked, so it's like, yeah.
I mean, like, is it the best rotisserie chicken in the world? Maybe, maybe not. But the point of that whole chicken is that chicken has fed so many families, like, and like so many like lower income like families like happily like across the world.
Yeah.
The chicken is great. The chicken,
and it's cheaper than chicken.
yeah. Like when I was like dirt poor, I get that chicken and then like make several meals out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think to bash something that was like so accessible and so iconic, I think that was just in poor taste.
I agree. Like just go back to microwaving your lobster tails.
Doesn't he have like a microwavable dish or bowl that he is like pushing?
Is it like part of like his thing? Like, is it why he's pushing it?
Yeah. I think so. I think those are his. The company sent me some.
Are they nice?
But it just ended up, they're like glass Tupperware with glass with a vent on it. They make them. I think they like. It's like it comes off as a very much as like a Japanese convenience kitchen gadget to me. So I was like, okay, I think I've seen this before but made of plastic and stuff. Theirs is made of glass, but it's very expensive. When I found out how much it costs, I was like, I don't know if people are ready for something like this.
I looked it up to know it was like $150. And also, there's something funny about watching someone with like a huge giant kitchen with like granite countertops, like fully stocked. Like
their microwave.
Microwaving something in a nice ass microwave in a $150 bowl, trying to like pass it off to like regular people is like, this is a hack to save you like time. I don't know.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, now that you put it that way, I was like, yeah, that kind of like defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah.
It's not really all that accessible.
No. But it's like,
just put it in a bowl and put a lid on it.
Honestly, or put like a Glad wrap, like a plastic wrap over it. Put some holes in it.
Yeah.
And also, like,
it does the same thing.
If anybody's like shelling out money for like lobster tails, like, trust like it's not going in the microwave,
Yeah.
Like if anyone's making like that much of an effort to even like, bring those ingredients home.
Agreed. That whole like generation of cooks and stuff, because like Rene Redzepi is like in there too, the guy that owns Noma and stuff like that. I think that was a very complicated time for those rock star chefs. Like I think their bad behavior was very much forgiven because they were quote unquote like genius. Well, I'm not going to put that in quotes. They're geniuses in their own respect, but I'm just so tired of the trope of like letting men behave badly just because they're good at shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean, like, you can be good at stuff, but you can still also go to therapy. Like, it does not preclude the other.
There's always alcohol. I'm kidding. I'm not promoting.
That's a huge problem.
Anyways, it's been fun to chat with you today, but
I'm really hungry. No, I haven't eaten yet.
I know. I actually have to meet my friends for dim sum in 40 minutes, which I'm very excited about.
And you're in LA, so it's probably going to take you that long to get there.
Actually, driving on weekends is like not that bad. It's the weekday that's a killer.
Okay. In that case, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for listening to our first episode of our podcast.
Oh, yeah, and please like, subscribe, share. Tell your friends, tell your mom. Don't tell David Chang. Probably wouldn't like this episode. And we'll be back next week with another episode. Bye.